So you're green again, guy?
Yeah, I couldn't find my mask. There's no cool origin as to
No,
why I'm
you don't.
green.
The green mask origin is not here, but we do get a green vest origin.
Oh, dude, that vest origin
In MCU's new entry into their mega fucking saga. That's right. We watched the Black Widow. That's right. There was booty in it, and it was delectable. But we're not supposed to say that anymore.
Yeah.
But there definitely was booty if you're interested in that, and it was nice.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the movie. Was that nice? It seems that a lot of people seem to be having kind of a tepid response, at least on the critical front. So I went into this like, it's definitely going to be good, right? Because, man, they'd be liking some shit that I'd be hating.
Yeah. Apparently Space Jam is like amazing according to IGN.
Apparently, man. But clearly it sucks. I don't even have to watch that one.
Clearly it blows my
That's
balls.
one of the few times where I'm like, I'm just not going to watch that because I know I'm not going to like it.
Yeah.
It might be the next Shakespeare Space Jam.
It still sucks.
I'm definitely not going to watch it and definitely won't like it. So anyway, yeah, man, I was like, nah, this is going to be fine. I wasn't even worried. And that's saying a lot because really this new wave of movies that's coming out, I'm like, Eternals, Shang-Chi, come on, man.
Yeah,
that doesn't look good at all. They might be, don't get me wrong, but I'm not interested so far. But Black Widow, I was like, come on.
How could you forget the classic TV series MODOK?
Oh,
which everyone forgot.
I mean, I forgot the moment I heard it.
Yep.
Forgot right now. But look, man.
MODOK?
Yeah, I think it's MODOK.
MODOK in it?
Pretty sure it's that. Anyway, that's a show that happened.
Yep.
Look, man, you know damn well that Black Widow is one of my favorites. And the MCU, I'd say she's my favorite. But we can all admit, I think, that story-wise, she wasn't getting much to do. She was just kind of there sometimes.
She almost sucked that green cock, and then they took that away.
Yeah, but you gotta admit I thought that was kind of rancid.
Nah.
I mean, it was cool for the Hulk, I guess, but I was
yeah.
like, where's this going? This is clearly not going to give anything. And sure enough, it went nowhere. And I'm glad because the Hulk has become a shitty character in the MCU. But the point is, she wasn't really getting the screen time that I, as a fan, thought she deserved. But lo and behold, here we have Black Widow, where, I mean, it's pretty much her fucking show. It should be, right? So she does get screen time, but is that screen time worth it? Let's talk about it. We just finished watching it. What do you think, gang? What's your opinion? Where does it stand? Are you standing, or are you currently playing with a carabiner?
Definitely playing with a carabiner. I think it's just as good. Definitely not better though than Space Jam. I'll
Needs
put
more LeBron.
I'll put that score to page and publish it on a website that many people read, and not feel embarrassed about that. In other words, screw Space Jam. This is clearly way better than that shit. What the hell, man?
Yeah.
Not letting that Space Jam shit go. Who does that?
Well, who gives a shit about Space Jam? Let's stop giving any accolades. Not that we're giving any of them
No,
to begin
zero
with,
accolades.
but let's stop giving any attention to Space Jam. I'm saying in the context of the MCU, where does this stand for you? Is it in the lower tier? Is it in the upper tier? Because generally, most of them are pretty good, with a few exceptions, in our opinion.
As a fiend who has been recently kind of losing interest in the MCU, this was pretty on fleek. I'm not gonna lie.
Why are you a fiend? I mean, you are a fiend. I'll grant you that. Just in general,
fiend without a face, clearly.
I'll learn. That's fine. I can work with that.
So yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have to say
like
that
you derailed me a little, but yeah.
That was a mad dumb set of sentences, but I got what you were going for, which is kind of how the script for Spider-Man, what was it? Far From Home was mad dumb, but I got what they were going for. Didn't impress. So really, what you just did was that Spider-Man movie. This, thankfully, was not. I was not impressed by that Spider-Man movie. And
you just made everything more confusing.
I really, really enjoyed the shit out of this. How much, you might ask? This is probably my third favorite MCU movie. After Winter Soldier and Infinity War, I would say. But honestly, I'd probably be more prone to watch this than Infinity War.
Yeah.
Just because it's shorter. It feels a lot more self-contained. And I don't know, I just really liked all that was going on, in terms of the characters and all that jazz. So that's where that stands. So yeah, man, I think one of the strongest points of this movie is the character work. I gotta say, it's kind of like some of Marvel's best. in terms of their movies. You know, you really get the feel for not only Black Widow, which we've kind of vaguely understood her motivations for. You know, she says things, but we've never really gotten the full flesh of certain things, like why she feels inadequate so much, or even history, that what happened in Budapest has been a big thing, right? So little things here and there, her sometimes she'll mention something about her past that intrigues, but they never really flesh that out. And this movie pretty much covered all that without ever feeling like they were going, we have to do this, so let's stretch our arm all the way over there storytelling wise and do that. No, it really knocks it out all in a very organic way. So if that's something that you wanted more out of Black Widow, like a more character heavy approach to her, and this definitely fulfills that, on top of having the requisite amount of action that you would require in a fucking Marvel movie. Although I did read one review that was
Don't
like,
you think that
this movie is above action, it shouldn't have that.
Yeah, I feel like a comic book movie should never have action.
Yeah, that was one of the dumbest sentences I ever read.
I got to say also, a dumb thing that I heard is that all this family shit comes out of nowhere. This backstory comes out of nowhere.
What is that?
It's like, have you freaking read comics, guy?
Yeah.
Like, come on. And it's obviously like she hasn't been like the main character of a movie before. So she hasn't gotten that much time. So why the hell would they freaking bring all this shit into it?
Also, it's just thematically tied into where we were in the Marvel Universe when this happened.
Yes.
This happens right after Civil War, and literally the heavier theme of the Black Widow movie is about family, and learning to get over the hardships of that to do something bigger. And here we have Black Widow, who after Civil War is on the run. Her substitute family, the Avengers, is torn apart, and she's thrown immediately back into something that she thought she had left behind, her past. And it just so happens that that's intrinsically tied with her de facto family, as we find out in terms of the movie. She of course was planted in a sleeper cell family, a Russian sleeper cell family, and there's this whole history, allusions that we've seen in the MCU before, but fully fleshed out here. And it's just thematically makes fucking sense. I think the only real quote unquote attack I would have, none of these nonsense attacks that we've seen, that, and I'm sure we'll come up with more that we've read up to this point. But the only real quote unquote issue I would have is that they really should have released this movie after Civil War. Not that it cheapens the movie. I know some people are like, oh, this is the worst that they released it here. I don't think it cheapens the movie at all. I think it's really fucking amazing how much the movie gets over despite being released all this time after the moment it should have been released. I think it's so good that you're like, damn, that's pretty fucking shocking that I'm still interested in this despite, we know where she ends up and all that stuff. Well, so that's credit to the movie, but it really, 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 really would have been great to see this in the proper place.
Yeah, because now the only thing that I feel is not like this, it's kind of pointless to see this like many people are saying. Mm-hmm. It's more like, I kind of wish she had more time to do shit. Now she's dead. That sucks.
It's not even that. I mean? It's that, don't get me wrong, that would have been, of course, awesome too. But I think you'll agree that the movie informs her character so much in terms of the past, things she had said up to that point, ways she had interacted with people, allusions she had made to her past, but it also informs the character forward and the sacrifice she ultimately made for, the family that she had, for, the greater scope of things. It really informs the character in such a deep way that you're like, come on, man, why'd you put it here?
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that it sucks that you finally get, a really good use of the character.
Yeah.
She's super dead now.
Yeah, she's mad dead, guy.
So it's like, come on, guy. So I guess I kind of understand someone saying that, but at the same time, the way these people are saying it was kind of like, it's not pointless to watch. What are you talking about?
It's not. It's really not. It's long overdue for the character. That, how can you not agree with that?
Yeah. It's
long overdue for the character. A lot of interviews that like Scarlett Johansson and like the director were making, where that Scarlet was. I'm sorry, that Black Widow was kind of like seen as kind of an objectified character. Case in point, we noticed that mad booty all the time, but so did the characters in the universe. It was kind of like, oh yeah, she's just there to calm the Hulk, almost in a kind of like pseudo suggestively sexual way, like in that way, calm the beast. In her first appearance, her sexuality was very, very much up front, and I mean that's part of like the spy genre, so it fits. But they never really fleshed her much beyond the fact that she's a badass fighter. She has a mysterious past, and she's super hot. I think we had already established that many times, and as awesome as it was every time, it was like, come on, guy, give me a little more here. Because anybody that's read comics or just maybe read about the Black Widow, didn't necessarily read comics, knows that there's so much there to dig. And this movie really does achieve a lot with so little time. It does restructure stuff. If you're familiar with the comics, of course it restructures stuff because, the whole MCU has. But that's not a bad thing, man. They really condense and rework things. I really like what they did with Taskmaster, which is something that I found a lot of people criticized.
Yeah,
I gotta disagree. They're like, yeah, he didn't do nothing. I mean, the character is supposed to be kind of like a weapon. It's supposed to be a means to an end. It's not supposed to be this full blown out character.
Admittedly, I haven't had much exposure to Taskmaster other than like in games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always found him annoying. They always make him like this kind of like quipping guy, and I'm always like, shut up. So I was actually kind of cool. I mean, the way they did it was kind of cool in this.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, because spoilers here if you haven't seen it. I mean, pretty much the whole world has seen it, right? Taskmaster is actually played out to be as one of Black Widow's victims and the daughter, basically, of our main baddie here. So it ties into this guilt that she's been carrying throughout all these movies. And it just worked really nice with the way the story was, with the Red Room, with the Black Widow program. It just tied in really well with it. I thought this is fucking cool for a Taskmaster. Besides, Taskmaster could just be a mantle that is taken by anyone. If they really want to bring the comic Taskmaster in later, they can do that. It's a program. It was a super soldier style program. They can do it. But in terms of this story, I thought that was super cool, man. Also really liked, and I know you'll agree with me here, the family throughout. Be it Yelena, her sister, played by Flo Pugh.
The Flu
Poo. Big booty Flo, I call her. She's got that mad booty. She admits it, and she thinks Americans don't like it, and she's probably right.
Why wouldn't they like it?
That's her experience,
We're
guy.
all about freaking booties.
Not all Americans are, guy.
Well, real, true, red-blooded Americans are all about booties.
I don't know. I think they'd be about gangly chicks.
Yeah, what is that?
That is weird.
Yeah, that's lame.
Anyway, she said that in an interview, and I'm like, because she got that big English booty is what I'm getting at. You know what I'm saying? She don't got like a normal big booty. She got big-ass English booty. So she's like, damn, people be hating this. Except for Zach Braff, I guess.
Yeah, I feel that's kind of
motorboating
weird.
that boy.
That homie like 50,000 years old.
He's only like 40-something, guy.
Nah, I feel like he's 65.
65?
78.
Damn, homie. Hey, we're getting off track. The point is, Flo Pugh's great. There's something about Florence Pugh that she really emotes really well with her face. Like, she's a really good face actor on top of being just a good actor in general. She manages to communicate so many emotions with just facial reactions. And her character has a lot to communicate because she has a lot of baggage in this movie, In a lot of ways, the characters in the movie all are looking for a sense of hope and normalcy. In this case, in the form of family, and they're all kind of like at odds with each other. This de facto family that Black Widow has. So it's very interesting to see their reactions to each other. And I think there's something about Florence Pugh that we've seen in other movies, even ones where we only liked her basically. Like what was that shit?
Fighting with My Family?
Yeah, Fighting with My Family, where it was a movie with good actors, but man, that movie stunk in our opinion. But she's just really good at that, of course, in Midsommar, the grief scene alone is like, she really fucking knocks that up. But her character communicates a lot. There's a scene where the family's in the dining room table, and it's kind of like between serious and comedic, and it just, kind of goes between all these emotions, and she really reacts so well with her face on top of her acting that you're like, I get it. I get everything she's going through. She's really good at that stuff. And of course, like David Harbour and Rachel Weisz are also super fucking cool. And I was kind of worried about that, you know. I don't know, like I don't know about you, but I've never had like a great experience with Rachel Weisz beyond the first Mummy movie. I'm not hating. I'm just like, eh.
I can't think of any movie she's been in other than The Mummy.
That's just
and
it.
She had whack eyebrows in that.
Yeah. I liked them on the first one.
Nah, them shits was too thin, guy.
I'm on it. But I've never had like a memorable experience with Rachel Weisz beyond that. And she didn't even carry that over to the Mummy sequel because, that movie just fucking sucked.
I don't blame her for that one.
Yeah, that was terrible. But anyway.
She was like, I'm out by the third one.
Yeah. So I was kind of like a little bit worried on that end. But I think she was actually super cool, man. Like a really, really solid character there. David Harbour was fucking great as Red Guardian.
Yeah.
I hope we see more of them.
Yeah, I was about to say, not a complaint, not a negative.
Mm-hmm.
More of a kind of want.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of wish that we would have gotten like a cool Red Guardian like fight scene.
Yeah, we do get one, but it's played more towards where his character's at, kind of like always fucking shit up.
And it's they're very brief whenever he does stuff, but he's really cool. And the way they build his character, you kind of expect there to be a big scene, and then there's kind of like this thing with Taskmaster, you're like, oh, this is gonna be it, and then it kind of doesn't happen, and you're like, oh, that sucks. So I guess that's like a minor complaint, but it's not really a big deal because he's so good.
Yeah, it's more, like you say, it's more of a want.
Yeah.
Because you like the character so much, but what you get is totally understandable for where his character is, and I think he was fucking great. The character's just great, so yeah, like you say, it kind of negates itself in the way that the complaint, again, more of a want. So yeah, they're fantastic. I hope we see more of them. Apparently that's the case. Apparently the reaction to them has been very positive, so it seems that they want to do more of that. So that's fucking cool. Ray Winstone was the fucking villain in this. Of course, he's cool. He is, I think, to you, most famously known for being thin despite being mega fat because he played a CG version of Beowulf.
Oh, yeah.
I love him. He's awesome. He's always interesting to watch as an actor. And I think
he's really good because he's like a complete butt bag, but he doesn't say much.
Yeah, he really embodies the idea of somebody that's working in the shadows and possesses all this power.
Yeah, it's very close to like the idea villain-wise to
Zemo.
What I was gonna say Winter Soldier did.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's very much like a eviler version of that plan, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course Zemo with the freaking Winter Soldier shit too, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. And he's really good at just he doesn't really come in until the end, really.
Yeah, you just see him in spots until.
But in that little bit, you're like, oh yeah, this guy needs to die hardcore.
And I think what really nails it in is that though you do see him sporadically, really briefly in parts of the film, it's really what he's done, and you know what he's done, and how it affected all these people, and the fact that he's taking people's wills away is enough for you to make you like, fuck this guy.
And even that could have failed if it wasn't for how good he is, you know, being an ass bag. Because, you know, we've seen other movies where, like, they mention this thing and the guy comes in and you're like, oh, that's lame. You know what I mean? But this one, he's really good. And the second he comes into screen, you're like, oh, this guy sucks balls. I need him to die. Hardcore.
And dying, he does.
Blow up that boy.
Yeah, man. Just a solid villain. It's kind of interesting to see a villain that's more grounded again in the Marvel universe. We're used to big ass fucking
world-ending movies.
So much so that it kind of like doesn't even matter sometimes. You're like, yeah, big powerful guy.
Yeah, this is like a good example of how you can have a smaller movie like Winter Soldier, which have these big action sequences, but the story itself is kind of like small in comparison. You know, this one I think is even more small in scale.
Yeah, and it feels more impacting to us because you're like, I can see that happening in the real world. Maybe not all the big scale spy stuff, but you know, like human trafficking is a thing. You know, enslavement of people, puppeteering of nations. They're all things that happen in this world. So it feels a little bit closer to home. It grounds the super heroic stuff more. But so does the fact that the movie is centered around somebody that's human ultimately. And I gotta say, if you're just a human character, versus a god or something like that in this universe. You have a lot to do to make the action sell.
Yeah, you can't just start your own app and hope that you take off.
What are you, Jeremy Renner? No, man, I gotta say, man, that the action in this is pretty fucking badass. I really, really like what they did across the board. It was exciting. I think the pacing in this movie was really fucking solid. You know, some people understandably can get kind of knocked off course with the pacing of a movie with kind of like the mandatory meat, you know, kind of like the meat and potatoes story section of a second act. That's usually when it plays out, you know. It slows down and you have to consume all this stuff. I think they paced this out really well, you know, because you expect certain things from a superhero movie that's an action movie as well. So they never go so deep that you lose attention, and that's props to the fact that the writing is good and the characters are good and the interactions are good and all that jazz. But also that they don't ever fail to bring in the action at the right points, even during these sequences where you're building up more story and stuff like that. So I thought that was good. It starts with a bang. It ends with a bang. It's bang, bang. It's Bang Bros, gang. All up in that piece. I wish, really. But anyway, the point is...
Yeah, homie.
What else,
Love
man?
Ray Winstone's balls.
Oh, you know what? What else? Besides Ray Winstone's sweaty balls? This movie actually has some cool music in it.
Yeah, it does. I got to say that I was going to mention that this it has a very unique tone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And that it just kind of feels like important shit's happening. Mm-hmm. Unlike something like Spider-Man Far From Home where you're like, what is this?
Yeah, mad fake.
Yeah. So, but yeah, well, of course, that comes along with the mad tunes that they use, because the tunes are kind of set the freaking mood, really, I think. From early on, you know, that opening little sequence, I thought that opening sequence was really good, too.
Great cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Smells like crevices in here.
Well, that's beside the point, then.
I think sometimes you get openings that are like, what is that? But it was used really well to inform you of what's going to happen. And it set a tone, and there was an interesting tone throughout. It didn't have any of those moments like freaking Doctor Strange where a cape does something stupid and you're like, that was lame. You know what I mean? There is comedic shit, but it doesn't...
I think this is possibly the best Marvel Universe has handled humor. Before, we've had issues with humor. You know, sometimes the humor's great in the Marvel movie. You know, like Guardians of the Galaxy pretty much gets it right, for example. But sometimes you're like, oh, eye rollers, man. You know? And then thankfully that's not across the board most of the time. Man, but Spider-Man 2 was having some eye rollers in that piece, on top of being lame. But anyway, there's some massive eye rolling going on sometimes with the Marvel humor. Even Marvel fans have admitted that. I think this one gets it, man. Just knocks it out of the ballpark. There was no eye rollers here for me. I'm not saying they were all amazing, but they all work within the context of the film. They don't derail it. And it really helps that the family dynamic feeds most of this humor.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels natural. It just feels, the humor feels natural for this scale of a movie anyway. And I'm gonna back you up on that tone being completely different feeling to other Marvel movies. This feels like a movie that could be its own thing without Marvel. Yeah. It feels like a spy thriller. It feels like a competent spy thriller. And it feels aesthetically like the vibe it gives off, like you say, it feels like there's something important going on. Like there's stakes to be, which is, you know, a criticism I think some people have a lot of, like, oh, I don't feel any danger. I don't feel any reason to invest if I know she's going to live. Well, what movie are you watching? That's kind of like not the point, man. You could still have character growth that's important, and I don't know, maybe set up other things in this universe, which is very evident that they were doing with certain elements, especially Yelena Belova. You know, she's obviously going to be eventually the new Black Widow in the universe. I mean, that's a given, right? But she has a journey to get there, and I think how we were informed of her character clearly sets up that journey as being believable, from somebody that's kind of a gray area, maybe even bad guy, to somebody that's eventually good. I think this gives all that. It gives us a solid foundation for that without ever hogging Black Widow's, Natasha's screen time. It's still her movie.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they're just throwing characters in to be there. You know, as much as I like Winter Soldier, Falcon does kind of feel like that a little. Like, oh, this is a new guy.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty good the way they handled that shit. It doesn't feel pointless to bring these characters in.
Yeah.
Except for I guess Ursa. The homie got his little paw broken.
Yeah, man, his little paw was broken. Got floppy.
Yeah, the
like
floppy
my penis.
Yeah, I got the floppy cock guy.
Yeah, man. Lots of great stuff in this movie. I really enjoyed it. I don't really see the complaints. I don't see merit to any of the complaints that I've heard. So thumbs down to them complaints. Thumbs up to this fucking movie. Yeah, like I said, this is definitely my top 3 favorite Marvel movies. I'm really fucking glad we actually got a Black Widow movie that kicks ass, because that's what I wanted, and finally it got one. And like you say, it's kind of sad that we won't get to see more of that, because this movie actually made me crave more of this type of fucking movie.
Yeah.
So well, we got Winter Soldier in this one, so that's cool. But yeah, it really awesome.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I know it's getting muddier and muddier as it goes along, but I feel like this and Winter Soldier is like a perfect example of, like, not everything has to be the world's ending.
Yeah.
Or I guess now the multiverse is ending. Like, you can have interesting stories that are small.
You can have ominous characters that aren't fucking monsters or superheroes or some shit like that. Yeah, man, I agree on that wholeheartedly. But so it is. I mean, if you want to close the book on the Marvel Universe and move on, this movie provides, I think, the actual conclusive touch that something like Far From Home, which was supposed to be kind of like the last chapter in that, definitely didn't provide.
No.
This one for me was like, yeah, this is the clincher. If I give up on Marvel movies now, I'm okay, because this feels, now it feels complete. Like, it feels fleshed out, this whole vision right here. But hopefully it'll make more stuff like this, or take more risks to be different, to kind of like what was becoming just formulaic for them in style. Not that was horrendous at most of the time. No, in fact, most of the time it was great. But it is nice to see something different feeling. It is nice to see something that looks different, that just plays out different, and takes some risks. So hopefully they take a lesson from that and apply it to some of the new stuff coming out. But time will tell. The point is, this one rocks. Let's give any final thoughts and a score on Black Widow. Hit me with it.
I wasn't expecting to hate, but I didn't have very much, like I said, expectation, because I don't know. I feel like there's too much Marvel going on, and after a certain point, it's like watching wrestling. After a certain point, you're just like, I'm good. Not that I would stop watching, but it's one of those things. And then I saw this shit, and I was like, oh, all right,
yeah,
that's pretty rad, guy. So I hope that they do something else like this and stop with the world ending every freaking second. Because after a certain point, you're just like, just end the world already! Whereas here, I was like, hell yeah.
And score?
Oh, score. It's got mad booties, 2 of them. I was going to give it an 8 for the booties, but I'm going to give it a mad 9.5.
Yeah. Pretty good score. Yeah, man. Everything you said, and then some. This, especially the booty part. This is just the movie I wanted, so I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's pretty cool. That it surpassed my expectations, and I wasn't even like, this is gonna suck because people are gonna say it. I was like, nah, this is gonna be good. I just had a feeling, and I was glad that feeling was fulfilled. It felt like somebody really, really wanted to make this, and that somebody was probably Scarlett Johansson. She was really involved in it, but it also felt like everybody really wanted to make this, and they may not have, but it felt like it, and that's kind of what matters. No, so yeah, man, this was cool. It was really entertaining. Seeing it the second time back to back. Sometimes when you do that, you're like, that wasn't that great of the part or whatever. Then I actually thought it was better the second time that I watched it. There's a lot of stuff you notice because it is a fast-paced movie. There's people talking, there's shit blowing up and stuff like that. So it's nice to revisit it and just get all the finer details. Yeah, Really good, solid fucking film. I'm gonna give it a 9.5 on that scale as well. I highly recommend. What up with that?
Mad booties.
And yes, there's mad booties, and they look delicious. And Wood Motorboat, 10 out of 10 on those.
Yeah, David Hare's got a really good band.
One more thing. There is a post-credit sequence that if you're currently into the TV stuff, or I guess the Disney Plus stuff, I shouldn't say TV, feeds into that, but also feeds into
Seinfeld.
Yeah, Seinfeld feeds into what the future brings for or holds for Yelena. So it's kind of she's gonna be in Hawkeye is basically the end of that fucking story right there. I'm not a huge fan of this Disney Plus TV show shit. I in fact hate it. Not because it's not good, but because, for example, WandaVision, I felt that shit could have been 30 minutes out of a fucking 2.5 hour movie. You know?
30 minutes?
Easily. And fuck that. You didn't need all that fluff. You could do that shit in fucking 30 minutes and get it done. 35 max.
Yeah.
You know? It was just too much filler. I like the show. I am just not a fan of this whole, like, now you need to see this stuff to get the whole picture here. I count myself lucky that I read comics, but there's also a limit to that. I stopped reading comics at some point, and there's only so much that'll inform me. And of course, there's also you adapt and you change stuff, you know. So it's like, at one point, I'm gonna be like, God damn, I didn't watch that show. Now I don't know what the fuck this person is. I hate that.
Yeah, at least with the Netflix shit, you didn't have to.
Yeah, it was. You could. That's really what they need to be doing, in my opinion. I mean, what do I know? I'm fucking a peon with no money, and they're making millions. But you know, if it were up to me, I should say, which it's not, and that's fine. Yeah, I would be like, hey man, there's so many fucking things you could do. You know, the Netflix idea was a good idea. Do that again. You know, the street level villains could live on their own on these shows and have full fleshed out stories that don't need to be movies that actually benefit more from this large character development. Like Daredevil was really good doing that. Iron Fist not so much, but oh man, Defenders. Woo. The point is they could fix that and do that right over there. But they're doing this thing. I'm not a huge fan of it, but we'll see how long that goes. Whatever. The point is this thing. Very happy with this one, so fuck it. Black Widow. Would bang. Anyway, tell us what you think about Black Widow. If you've seen it, if you haven't, just totally ruined some parts of it for you. So
Big time. Elaine's in it.
Yeah, yeah. So we're out.